Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I'm back with a new layout for Pinkfresh Studio, and I'm going to begin this page with an exclusive cut file by Pinkfresh Studio, and it's this really fun geometric wreath, and I forgot to completely group it together before I cut it out, and so my Cameo sort of sliced it apart, but it's one big cut file. And then I'm going to also use this fun washi tape. This is also available in the Pinkfresh Studio shop, and it's called Adorable Frames, and it matches that fun geometric wreath shape, but the tape has this really fun watercolor effect on it. And so I'm basically going to start with that and create some big die cuts or some big elements to add to a layout. So all I'm doing is sticking this washi tape to a sheet of white cardstock so I can cut it out and use them as individual pieces. So the cut file is going to be available in the Pinkfresh shop very soon, along with a lot of other ones. A lot of the design team members lately have been using all of the new cut files that are coming, and so make sure you keep a watch out for those. And this is just one of them. I thought it would be fun to use with this matching washi tape. So I've got 4 big pieces here, and now I'm just going to take my scissors and cut those out. And this is a pretty easy shape to fussy cut. I know a lot of people say that they don't do fussy cutting, they don't have time for that, but this is pretty fast and easy. It's not a very detailed shape. So just taking my scissors there, and when this is cut out, you would never even know that this was washi tape. And there's so many ways to use this. You could use it straight up on a background. Lots of different ideas. I just thought I would do this for the sake of this layout. All right, so I'm only going to wind up using 2. I made 4, but I'm trying to decide how I want to use this cut file. And since my Cameo sliced it up for me, I thought that I would take advantage of that. There's my photo. It's a fun black and white picture of my husband and our youngest daughter walking in the park one day. And I'm just experimenting here. I wasn't quite sure how I wanted this layout to start. So I know I'm going to use white cardstock as my background because I am going to come in with some of the liquid watercolors from Pinkfresh Studio and create a watercolor background. I think what I'm going to do is use these 2 geometric pieces as layering. I do want all the colors to show, and the colors in that washi tape are the colors that are going to determine the colors that I use on my background. I'm basically going to treat those as pattern paper. So that's where I'm starting with my colors. So I'm going to use some clear gesso on the background sheet here. This is thick, smooth, white cardstock. And the gesso is just going to prep the paper for all of this watercolor that I'm going to add. And this is my little tray of all my Pinkfresh Studio colors that I use on all my Pinkfresh Studio layouts. And once the gesso dried, I just spritz some water on it, and then I'm going to come in with some of these colors and just start to add color to the background. I think my favorite color of all the Pinkfresh Studio watercolors is the sky blue, and it's pretty much the turquoisey color, and that's always my favorite color no matter what I'm using. But I'm going to mix in some of the greens and just sort of bring everything back and see how it looks. I'm really just playing around here. I didn't really have a set idea of how much watercolor I wanted to add to the background. I just wanted it to be able to be seen around the edges of the photo and then those 2 geometric pieces. And again, I'm trying to pull colors that are already in that washi tape to match. So I'm going to have some blues, some greens, and then some light reddish coral and some yellow. So yeah, I like to bring everything that I'm going to use back on top of the watercolor so I can see what it looks like from time to time. Because sometimes you think you've done too much, but then when you bring everything back on top of it, you haven't done enough. And so it's important to, bring all your elements from time to time back on top of it so you can kind of see where you're at. Yeah, and I'm using my brush here. I didn't use the packaging technique or anything like that. I just used lots of water and my brush to kind of spread the color around. And I'm liking how this is looking so far. I do wind up turning my background a completely different direction though once it's all said and done, because I just think it looks a little bit better and my idea kind of changed. So what I'm thinking about doing is running this geometric die cut piece off the page kind of over to the side instead of using the entire thing as a full wreath on the background. So now I'm going to come in with some of the yellow, and that yellow is called Sunshine, and then just a dab of the orange, which is Clementine. And I'm going to mix just a little bit of yellow, and this is going to look like a hot mess here in just a second, because when you mix orange and blue together, sometimes it turns into a muddy mess. But I try to keep the colors separate here. You'll kind of see what I'm talking about. But I didn't want the yellow to be super yellow. I wanted it to be more of a golden sunshine. You can kind of see what I'm talking about there. Almost made a muddy mess. But to get that orangey, or not orange, but that goldeny yellow color that I was wanting, I needed to mix some orange with it. And so you can kind of see here. I'm going to add in a little bit of the red color, and I'm mixing a little bit of orange in that, and it's going to turn out the perfect shade to match that coral reddish color in the washi tape. And I'm loving how this is basically turning into a rainbow. I hadn't even considered doing rainbow when I started this layout, and I just gravitate toward all the colors. Without even thinking about it, it just happens. If I have an opportunity to make a layout with all the rainbow colors, it just happens. And I'm not mad about it because I am a forever rainbow fan. So that's just the way it's going to go. All right, so I let everything dry, and here's where I decided to turn the background. And I like the way it fits better right here. So I'm going to sort of do everything kind of in the upper left quadrant of the page. I love how this background turned out. But once I turned it, I decided that I wanted to add some splatters. So I'm going back to all those original colors that I used, just adding a little bit of water to my brush, adding a little bit of the color, and then just splattering it down. And I am going to wind up bringing some of the reddish coral color and the yellow down underneath the big chunk of blue at the bottom. I just felt like I needed a little bit more of that down in that area. And I do that off camera because it's basically more of the same thing, but you can see what I'm talking about there. I just kind of brought a little bit of it down, and all those stripy things that you see in the background, that's from where I scraped on my gesso. You can definitely see the texture of how that dried, and I always love how that turns out. It doesn't bother me at all. I just think it adds some fun texture to the background. All right, so I didn't even want to cover this background up. I run into this problem a lot. Once my background dries, I love how it looks, and I just don't want to put anything back on top of it. But, you know, that's part of the design process with creating a layout, is some of it is going to get covered up. So what I'm doing now is just lightly gluing down the cut file and the geometric washi tape pieces, and then the big flower that comes with this cut file. I'm going to use it as a layering piece and kind of tuck it in on the upper left area. So I let all that dry, and then I did some machine stitching along the lines with some metallic gold, and I did add a little bit over on the left corner to where it looked like it was completed. And I love how that turned out. I think it's just a fun and different background element, different shape. I tend to use circles or squares or hexagons. I've never used, I don't want to say never, not that I can think of, a design shape like this. So it's really fun and different. And I love that my layers came from washi tape. So I really wanted to try to blend the two new collections together on this layout, the Office Hours collection and the Just a Little Lovely collection, both by Pinkfresh Studio. And if you've seen these collections by now, which I'm sure you have, they are both amazing, but they are completely different. Totally different subjects, totally different design elements, completely unrelated. However, you can definitely blend them together on the same page. And so that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going through all of the stickers from Office Hours. I'm going to go through the die cuts, the fabric pieces. I'm not going to show you all that because it's just me sorting through everything. But these are the die cuts. And I'm basically looking for things that are general enough to go on a layout, not about office hours or work. So I pulled out some things from Just a Little Lovely on the right, Office Hours there on the left, or some of them, actually that flower, I think that's from Just a Little Lovely. But anyway, you get the idea. And before I glue my photo down, I'm going to add in some thread. I wanted to add in some more texture and some pops of color. I've got the dark teal color, or the bluish color. This is that golden yellow color. And I'm going to wind up using those two colors only. I did pull out a coral color, but I just felt like I didn't need it. I'm going to do some layering here. I'm going to tuck in that big floral. It's mostly black and white from Just a Little Lovely. And I love how that kind of breaks up the flower, the part of the cut file. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue my picture down, and everything else is going to be embellishing around it. And I'm not sure what my title is going to be. I am going to use that piece over to the left that says Ready for the Weekend. And that's from Office Hours, but I'm going to use it on this layout. And again, you would never know that came from an Office Hours collection that's basically centered around work or things that you do at your desk, that type of thing. And so are all these pieces here that I'm going to layer on top of the picture. And that's what I love about mixing and matching collections, is you can always find ways to use them in or on layouts that are, you know, about things totally unrelated to what that collection is about. It's always fun to, you know, kind of create Christmas layouts or a holiday page using non-traditional Christmas papers. It's a fun challenge to do. And so I enjoy, you know, the mixing and matching and getting creative. It just kind of forces you to think outside the box, and I'm all about that. So, all right, so here's what I decided for my title. I'm going to use the Ready for the Weekend piece, and then I wanted to use these puffy, scripty words or alpha stickers from Office Hours. So I just added Good Times, the perfect color, and I love that scripty font. But I did want to add something in that space underneath Good and to the left of Times. So I go back to the Just a Little Lovely pieces, and I'm going to use that black and white flower die cut with this little mint green, I think it says Happy Times, Happy Day, little banner sticker. And then I'm just going to play around with some other things. I thought about adding more leaf die cuts or more colorful flowers, but I didn't want to go overly floral. That's what I was trying to say. But I did want to pull in some more of this darker blue color. So I go back to the watercolors, and I'm just going to very lightly add some blue paint or blue watercolor to this black and white flower. And I'm going to do the same thing to the flower that's tucked in up top there, just to add in a pop of color and give some depth to those flowers. And I let the first layer kind of dry, and I dab it up a little bit and then go back in just to kind of create some lights and darks. And yeah, I really like the way it turns out. So I'm going to keep doing that, and then that's the finished product. It's just something subtle, but something pretty. I felt like it brought another pop of that blue to that area. And there's the one up top there. But like I said, I wanted a pop of that blue right there because I've got the light coral color. I've got some yellow. So I felt like I needed some blue down there. And I like creating clusters. Sometimes it just depends on how the layout goes. And, you know, I wasn't sure how my title was going to go or how I was going to organize it. But yeah, the space that was created underneath the word good just made the perfect little nook for a little cluster. And so that's how that cluster was born. I'm going to add a couple more things to that. I try to use this little wood veneer die cut with the stars on it a couple times, but it just winds up not fitting anywhere. These are the little watercolor phrase stickers from Just a Little Lovely. Again, they match. I'm going to use one of those and then work in some more blue thread. I try to put some more blue thread up at the top, but I felt like it didn't look right up in that area. It kind of, I don't know, from where I was sitting when I was making this, I didn't like the way it looked. So I'm going to pull that out and use it somewhere else. More blue thread underneath this little cluster down here at the bottom. And I just love how messy and wavy the thread looks once everything's said and done, and the texture that it creates. I'm going to kind of cut up this die cut here to add a little pop of yellow and green to the right side of the picture. It's going to be very subtle, but I felt like there was a lot of coral to the right of the photo there with the background washi tape pieces. So I just wanted a pop of something else right there. It's very subtle. And I'm almost done. I decided to add my journaling kind of over here to the right, and I'm going to work it into the shape of the cluster. And then I'm going to use a black fine tip Sharpie to write that. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add in some gold splatters, since I had the gold thread. And to do this is another way to add gold. I just have some Martha Stewart acrylic craft paint. It's metallic gold. Water it down, splatter it, and then you get some shiny gold splatters. Anyway, there's the final layout. I really love how this turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some ideas to try, some techniques to try. I really love the liquid watercolors. If you have not tried those by Pinkfresh Studio, you really should. They're really vibrant and bold and really, really pretty. And yeah, be on the lookout for the cut files that you've been seeing in a lot of the layouts lately. They will be for sale very soon in the Pinkfresh Studio store. There's a tab that says cut files, so keep checking that if you're interested in any of these cut files. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great week. I will see you next time.